Y'all ready? I want to welcome everybody to the July 21st, 2020 work session. Official time is 5:30. Approval of agenda for the work session.
So moved, Chairman.
Second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Ayes have it. We have Andrews Media presentation. Welcome. We'll let Matt introduce you.
Yes, sir. That's all right. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, a couple meetings ago, I brought up the idea of trying to bring the county departments together as one under one blanket when it comes to communicating with the community. Right now, it's scarce, it's hit and miss. We have a great newspaper, but it is a once-a-week publication, and a lot of things happen in that time frame that need to get out before the following week. So, knowing Miss Erin Andrews for a while, back when I used to live in Baldwin County, made me think about, hey, they do a great job. And what we're looking at is different platforms of social media, whether it's email blast, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever else is out there that I may not know about. And it can work for every department. And I've asked Miss Julie, as she said, Miss Erin would be here, but she's under the weather a little bit. But Miss Julie, Miss Erin told me is very great at what she does, so no doubt I have all confidence that she'll get the message across. But what we're looking at is just a way to help all departments. Recreation, obviously, is my baby. But whether we're talking about sign-ups, whether we're talking about field closures, whether we're talking about, whatever it is, they can hit multiple platforms at one time versus, us trying to, I'm just not savvy when it comes to social media. So me trying to filter my way through it, they can do it a whole lot faster. And I'm not to try to take any thunder from her, but Miss Julie is going to come up here and hopefully do better than I am and get all the questions and all the answers. And that'll be it. Miss Julie?
Yep. Thank you. My name's Julie Martin. I feel terrible talking to. If I rotate once in a while, don't take offense. I am the production director for Erin Andrews Media. I joined Erin a couple years ago. I just moved here from Kansas 2.5 years ago. So if I sneeze or I cough, I am still trying to get used to pine pollen, grass pollen, and everything else in this state. So, and Erin is fine, by the way. Forgive me. She had they were doing all the right things. They had a kind of far exposure to someone, then they felt like they should get tested and home quarantine. Everybody in the family tested negative. They're all fine. They don't have any symptoms, except her silly husband tested positive. He's in the doghouse. But they're all healthy. They're all great, but they're just being super, super cautious, like we all are. So I will try and keep this brief. One of the things that we wanted to give you was just kind of a foundation that is pertinent to a government body like yours with multiple departments and kind of a mandate to communicate well with the community. Like Matt said, we've relied on our newspapers for years, but they have become less and less available to carry the kinds of news and information that people require now, especially on mobile devices. And social media, good, bad, or indifferent, is one of the best platforms we can rely on. And for one of the greatest things about it is it's free. You don't have to buy extra software and things like that. One of the biggest challenges of it is monitoring it, measuring it, doing it in a professional manner, and not just cutting loose anybody in these different offices and departments to do it on their own. So one of the things we wanted to reiterate in that first paragraph, and I'll just point out a few things, is that professional management of these kinds of tools gives you that comfort level of knowing that there's a professional group of people who do this for a living, who do it all the time, who understand the ramifications of doing it right and doing it within all the proper channels and legal boundaries and all those kinds of things. And you don't rely on employees who raise their hand and say, oh, I'll take care of our Facebook page. And then you're constantly being concerned about them either getting way too excited about it and not doing their own jobs, or just not having the skill sets to do it properly. as far as social platforms go, we have the standard Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Google My Business happens to be less of a social platform, but that is the first thing that comes up on your mobile device whenever anybody Googles the Jones County Commission or the Jones County Court, facilities for all of these different departments. That's what comes up your phone that shows the map, the phone numbers to call, and things like that. So that's another space that you should control professionally with the right information. Facebook is probably the most relevant place to be. I kind of imagine that not tons of people in this particular community are big Twitter followers. Is anybody here a big Twitter participant? I didn't think so. I hate Twitter.
We got one.
Jason is, because he's,
Oh, sorry. Well,
'cause he's a
you're-
young buck.
Do you like, see, it's a real personal thing, but it's for fast-moving information.
I don't tweet. I just read other people's.
Okay, good. We're good then. How many of you participate actually on Facebook? Yeah, it's a real good way for it to spread lots of information, and it's become a real important place for small business, for communities, for governments to get information and out. And in our estimation, it's a great platform because we can integrate it with Twitter. So whatever we put on Facebook would automatically be published to your Twitter account. So you still get that space for people who are watching, but we're not managing two different spaces. Instagram is a great place for maybe a younger population and people who really rely on visual stuff, for us to put, photographs of park and recreation things. That's for happy stuff. Instagram is real super visual. So those are the three places where we would recommend that you spend your time and effort. Our model is rooted in strategic planning when we do something like this. We don't just randomly call people and say, hey, what are you guys doing today? What do you want us to put on Facebook? We put together a communication plan with your different departments. We communicate and create a monthly calendar for the stuff that we know is coming up, so that there's always a plan that can be done via email, via phone calls. No big meetings are required. We can certainly have them when requested. And then everyone gets a copy of that, so you know kind of what's coming up. Somebody can glance at it and say, whoops, we're missing this particular thing. We need to let these guys know. So that prohibits people from just not doing a good, consistent job of planning ahead and having things out there. And I'll show you in a minute just some ideas that you can read later. Our overall goal for you all is to present positive news and highlights to people in this community who are your constituents about the people in all of your departments that are supporting all of those constituents with positive news to make people's lives better, healthier, happier, and safer. It's not a place for contention or political commentary or anything like that. It's just for good, happy information, which you have plenty of, by the way. And on this second page, you can go through it at your leisure. Excuse me. We just kind of outlined the different departments by topic. And basically, you have services to your constituents, then you have safety-related departments, then you have health-related departments, under which Park and Recs and that kind of thing. And then you have administrative and legal, which would, constitute your human resources, IT, meeting notices, those kinds of things. And everything in the right-hand column are all kind of routine subject matter that comes up every year. It's very predictable and plannable. But by the same token, we also reiterate that outside of that calendar, we can set up a routine so easily, thanks to cell phones now, that you can notify us if there's something that's immediate that's needed, a road closure, a spill, something that's really a lot more emergent, a cancellation of a outdoor event or something at Park and Recs at the last minute, so, or something changes. So that's super easy for us to adapt to in that model. On the almost last page, I pulled up just for fun an example of the Morgan County, Georgia County Commission page and their government page as a nice example of Madison, which is nearby, which we all know, and it's a well-designed, well-crafted Facebook page. Unfortunately, all of the government Facebook pages that we've looked at over the past 4 months are filled with COVID-19 related news, so it's not super bright and cheerful at the moment with special events, but that's a good example if you want to go look at kind of the government-based site that has the kind of the county umbrella over it as well. And then on the very last page, this is just to kind of give you a big overview of all the things we do. We're not just a social media management company. We do a lot of website development and design, and we do all the old good traditional marketing, you know, billboards and posters and flyers, and we do email marketing. If something on down the road, if that's something that you want to incorporate, it's very easy to do nowadays if you've got a database of people you want to communicate with. And all of the things that tie these things together that we do all involve really smart branding and good graphic design, and that's what makes, you know, this organization look good and professional and consistent in the end. So that was very brief, which I promised to do, and I am happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Gibson, you got any?
I just make a couple of comments. We've talked about this during the budget session. We talked about it several times about, I personally think that's probably one of our weakest links is communication.
Absolutely.
You know, our Facebook page is little to nothing, and even our website, you know, every time I go on it, I'm sent somewhere else, or I can't find what information I got, and I probably get more calls on why didn't we know this, or nobody told us this. So, yeah, I think we do not even a fair job on communication, but we got to do better than that. Did we talk about talking with the chamber maybe of kind of if this was something that they could utilize too?
They have a relationship with Haley and the chamber already, doing Visit Gray, is that what it's called?
We are very closely in communication with Haley a lot. We love working with Haley. Hello. We help her with the Visit Gray page to kind of promote tourism. We've helped them with some projects for the development side. So we've been involved in a number of different things, and then I believe we're going to be helping her with some resources for the new Butler Hall Event Center. I believe that's coming up in the near future.
Just thinking if we go down that path, at least we've got some similarities between Gray, Jones,
Yes.
Chamber, you know, that although it looks kind of the same. I know we'll dig down into cost and all that kind of stuff at some point, but when we set up the program where we can advertise with Chris, is that an avenue we can look at that this might promote our advertisement potential, or places we can advertise and then use some of that revenue to offset something? Because this is going to be either an annual or a monthly fee, I'm sure.
I mean, I don't see why it couldn't, especially when, I don't see why it couldn't.
If we just funnel it through that fund, then obviously we'd have to supplement anything from the general fund that we need payments on, but.
When you're doing, and just again, I'm not social media savvy, when you're doing Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google Business, whatever, is there a way to periodically throw business advertising in that at the same time?
Oh, yeah. Now, let me clarify. Are you talking about a true advertisement, or
Could
are
just be
you
a
talking
banner.
about just promoting
It can be
people?
a banner.
Oh, you're trying to have something that's a revenue-producing item?
Yeah, so it'd be like, let's just say I were to go to local business A and say, hey, for $200 a month, we can give you X amount of exposure through our social media platforms as we broadcast to the general public.
Yes and no. In the traditional sense of throwing up a banner on Facebook, you can't do that. You pay Facebook to put those up there. Now, can you craft kind of a plan where you can say, we will create a promotional post, a little news feed, you know, Facebook is full of little news feeds.
Right.
We can create a post for you and promote your business. The tricky part of that, I think you might run into, is if you look at either Visit Gray or the Chamber page, I'm trying to remember which one, they are promoting local businesses for free.
Yeah, well, why would they pay you or us if they can pay Facebook or they can pay the chamber to
Right, right,
promote that?
right.
And if we're talking about a physical sign, then I don't want to get into the, you know, because we've got Mr. Chris working on marketing plans that, for our recreational facilities and stuff like
Right.
that. So I don't want to jeopardize that, because I think we do have a local voice there that is a good benefit.
Right.
So, but yeah, I see a lot of positives in this. We just need to figure out how we can do it and what it would
Just
cost.
what really brought it to mind for me was, we had a great 4th of July celebration, and a lot of people still said, I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
We did everything we thought we were doing to promote it.
Right.
And then on the flip side of that, the bridge on Green Settlement, we had it wash out. Well, a lot of people I know were frustrated because they didn't know about it until they got down to it and saw the sign and had to turn around. So it just thinking of different ways that we can blast out to the community. And I know it's going to take a little time to build the database or the people
Friends,
base, the people
build your
base.
followers.
Yeah. But it's just a way to, I know, we talk about this when I go to GRPA meetings of how communities do stuff like this, and this is something other places do, like Decatur, I know, does something very similar to this. They have something called Decatur 101, where basically the people move into the community, they get their water bill for the first time. They get a thing where it tells them how to get on board with all this.
Right.
When they first come on. So it could be a way through our water, through the city of Gray or through the John County, when they come to sign up for water, they gotta have water as well, you don't get well, but, and it may be something we can get with Tri-County or Fire, but that's how they get the message out, is through the utilities.
Right, and then the other upside to this is it is very, very social, obviously, and you can, I'm not speaking for Haley, but, for example, she's already got followers on Visit Gray. The Chamber's already got followers. What was the other page I was thinking of? There are multiple Facebook pages in this same community region that already have followers. They can say, go follow the county's new page. And every time you put up, let's say you end up with 5,000 followers of your own social media space, the nice thing is every time you post an event that has a date attached to it, it pings all those people. All those 5,000 people get a little notice that says, this event has just been placed. If you're just placing regular daily content, just think of the news ticker that goes across CNN, then some people might see it and some people might not. But when you do post an event, people do get notified to go look at it. So that's a real benefit to having that particular tool as well.
Since we have our, one last thing, and I'll be quiet, but since Don just showed up, our EMA director, when you talk about y'all do offer, I think it was right here, short-term notice, time-sensitive content. What, realistically, if Don had something that needed to go out about inclement weather, we have a code red for those who sign up, just like this, people have to sign up, I
Right.
get that. But what, if he were to email y'all and say, hey, this is what's heading that way, how quick would that go out? 30 minutes, an hour?
You have a mobile phone? You would text me, Aaron, Tyler, one of our people who is responsible for that particular thing. You would text them the information, and say, post it now, and they go right from their phones and they pull up your Facebook page and they post it. So it can happen in a matter of minutes.
But that also hits the Instagram, the Twitter, the
It
other,
hits-
all
It hits
platforms.
Twitter, Instagram, it wouldn't be appropriate for. People aren't looking for breaking news on Instagram. They're looking for pictures of the 4th of July, which is,
I agree with that.
which is great. We're not looking for emergent news on there, so you don't have to worry about it. It's a good question, though.
Whenever there's any bad weather or anything like that, the Code Red does take care of over 6,000 folks.
Oh, that's good.
But it's not good enough because we've got 29,000 folks in our county. And I want to reach out to all of them, but now, I also do my Facebook page for EMA. I've reached 6,800 finally
Ooh.
followers
Very good.
on my EMA page that I started, probably 4 or 5 years ago. And I tried to do, the other one, Twitter, and it was too much. Because every time I would get a warning or something like that, it was very easy to just switch over to my Facebook page on the EMA side and put it in. Because all it was press and then copy and put it out there. So it was official, what was coming from Peachtree City or through GEMA or FEMA. And that's worked very well. And it was like overnight, people were following me and stuff like that. But, the Code Red is definitely fast, and it gets out there, super quick, but there's a certain point where it costs money if we were to put it out, other than weather. There's a cost
Yep.
there and it's always hidden, but if you go over 1,000 minutes, which, if I put a minute out there, or put 30 seconds of a message that there's a road closure or something like that, 2,000 people is gonna take up that 1,000 minutes.
Yeah.
So,
So it's a
I have to
text-based
watch,
platform.
yes,
Yeah.
I have to watch it very, if I put something out there.
Yeah, you
Because
really-
I can just do a grid, a round grid, octagon, any kind. And also the sheriff has got one too, and they work it a lot. I couldn't tell what the cost on that, but that's a nice system.
Well, ultimately, it's sort of where you train people to look. And if you've already trained, in my opinion, I could be wrong, a chunk of the population to really pay attention to your Code Reds, you've hit part of the pie, but you can also duplicate that information on your Facebook because everyone is so fragmented. And many people only look to Facebook for news, weather, everything else.
Everything.
I'm involved in county most of the time, but that's frustrating because they have like 6 different Facebook pages
Yeah.
for the county, and you have to follow every one of them, and then you get random information you're not interested in. So this one cohesive approach for a community this size just makes really good sense, and yet keeping some of those other, text platforms are really meant for those super urgent.
The EMA is for only emergency stuff only. Because I was scared of that people would think if I was just putting tips up there and this
Oh,
and
yeah.
that, and that gets kind of old. That's for some other page, but this is strictly time sensitive. It's going out very quickly, and it's hitting these folks pretty
Right.
quick. So, I don't give them a chance to say something about it. I can see where they're copying it, sending it to other folks and stuff like that, and that's good too.
Right.
So,
And you can put less urgent things like road closures or even following some storm damage.
But I call that an emergency thing. When we've got some sort of deal like that, I call that something that's really needs to be known.
Right.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of tools in there, but ultimately, to circle back around, yes, we can help with as needed, very short notice kinds of things, because of cell phones. And they're not terribly frequent anyway, so, it's not a big imposition.
Ms. Robbins, you got any questions or comment?
I see the potential, and I'd like to learn a lot more of the details and learn about the cost too.
And I'll just give you kind of a, 30,000-foot comment on cost-wise. This is not an expensive thing. We're not writing software, we're not doing any special programming, we're using a platform that's free, excuse me. So the costs are only associated with some time and expertise. And that time becomes very efficient with good planning. So that's why we recommend, we're gonna need a contact person for each of your departments. We're gonna have a regular routine process where we gather information, make suggestions, put it on a big calendar. Then once that is our basis for action, it's very efficient and it doesn't take a lot of time. So that's the good part. This is not like, building your own software.
Good deal. If the board will, we'll put it on our next agenda about going out for proposal, and we'll look into it. How's that?
Excellent.
It's a great work session.
My card, I believe. And our numbers are on the
Sure.
bottom of this document.
Yeah, man, we appreciate you working on it because this is a great
Oh, no,
idea.
this is fun. This is what we love to do. So we appreciate it. And again, Erin says thank you, and she's kind of smitten with Jones County. She's got all kinds of good friends and good clients and stuff here, so we really think it's an honor.
Thank you very
All right,
much.
thank you.
See you, sir. Thank you.
Is there anything else for this work session? All right, we'll go into recess for a few minutes until we can open our public meeting.